On this episode of the Brad and Will Show, we're going to be talking about the Rockets winning their third straight game, 4-1 since the All-Star break, and why the Rockets need to start Reed Sheppard ASAP. So tap in for this episode and let us know what you think.
All right, and welcome back to the episode of the Brado and Will Show. Today we're recording immediately after a very special game where the Rockets pulled off a 19-point comeback against the Orlando Magic, mainly behind the 40-point, 62 true shooting performance from Kevin Durant. And then I think that's going to sound crazy to say this, but even bigger than that, the 20-point explosion off the bench for Reed Sheppard on 84 true shooting in just his 31 minutes off the bench. He did play 17 straight minutes because he checked in the third quarter and then did not leave for the remainder of the game. And he was a plus 18 in that third quarter, a plus 4 in the fourth quarter, closed out the Magic, pulled off the comeback. This is probably game, 10, 15-ish of the comeback being ignited by Reed Sheppard. So we got to get into that today, man.
100%. One, you're funny for having your auto-tune on again. Definitely leave it on for the rest of the show.
Oh,
And
didn't even know it
two,
was on.
now you good. And two, the
intro and
Rockets.
auto-tune, man.
The Rockets were down 19, as Will mentioned, in the third quarter. About halfway through, it was 76-57. I kid you not. They went into the fourth quarter with an 81-80 lead, and a lot of that was Reed Sheppard. He didn't take a single three in the first half. Orlando was playing great defense, but Reed was letting it fly in the second half. He finished 5 of 7 from three, 20 points, had 4 assists, completely dominated, and he's proven once again why he needs to start for this basketball team. And not only does he need to start, he needs to initiate the offense. He needs to be a part of the actions. He can't just be in the corner while KD does his thing or Amin does his thing with the Rock. Reed Sheppard needs to be the guy running the offense. We've been saying this for a while. It's painfully obvious now, especially after the first start he had in his home career. We didn't even talk about that. He put up 16 threes, Will, and only players put up that many threes since James Harden left were Armani Brooks and Jalen Green twice. And that's it. It's just crazy to put up 16 threes in a game. And the Rockets are dead last in the league in three-point rate, right? They need a guy who can just chuck threes and even hit them at a high percentage. And Reed Sheppard does that perfectly. We've been talking about winning the math game, and Reed Sheppard helps you solve that problem. He helps you solve a bunch of problems. You lose Fred VanVleet, you lose a ball handler and a shooter. Reed Sheppard is right there in front of you, right? He's running pick and rolls. I saw one play. Reed had a pick and roll, dropped it off to Şengün, and Şengün just kicked it right back to KD for a three. That's beautiful. And that's what, Houston has been missing this season. And that's what they can dive into to close the year. See what you have there. And their best chance at winning this year, it's a slim chance they win this year. But for success, they need to give Reed all the reps in the world at point guard and let him actually initiate the offense. So that's my thing. And I'll get into Ime Udoka later, but I loved what he did at the end of this game. And I'm sure we'll talk about it.
Yeah, I think Reed Sheppard just something we've been saying for quite some time now, for like a broken record. Just got to start him, and if you're not going to start him, he has to play more than what he's been playing. He's just too important long-term and short-term, right? Short-term, your team needs a point guard. Your team needs a ball handler. Your team needs turnover suppression. Your team needs spacing. And those are all things that Reed Sheppard provides at I'm not going to say an elite level just yet because he's still young and still growing, but he provides all of those things at an above average level. And you drafted him number 3 overall to do those things. And so, I think in the short term, just putting him out there helps solve those problems, but also long term, I've been saying it for a while, man. I think the future of this team is kind of spooky if Reed Sheppard doesn't become the starting point guard of this team, because now you have to start exhausting other assets to go find that guy. And you kind of prefer to use the assets to either add on to what you have or to, find another complementary piece as opposed to having to go out there and find a point guard. Because, let's just be honest, Fred VanVleet's not going to be here forever. He probably shouldn't start for this team ever again, if we're being completely honest. And so, I think just for both the short and long term, you have to start him. I've been saying it for a while. I'll be the bad guy for keep saying it, and I won't be wrong. We're not winning a ring this year. Right? It's not happening. They're not going to win a championship this season. And so if we can all kind of understand that that's no longer in the picture, you actually stand to lose nothing by saying, hey, let's give this guy 30-35 minutes a night and just see what we have in him. Because you drafted number 3 overall. Obviously, you saw something in that you liked. That you took him over. If nothing else, a guy like Donovan Clingan, who I think would have fit in a bit easier to what we already had established. This is hindsight, but like we know the Rockets were pretty high on Clingan. If you didn't want to draft Reed, Clingan was out there and he could have actually came in and kind of fit some of the biggest needs of this team. You
Especially
drafted
with
him
him
pretty
hitting
high.
threes now too. He's hitting threes now
Yes.
too. Crazy.
You
Yeah.
drafted Reed pretty high over some pretty interesting guys in that class. Stephon Castle, I'm not even a big Stephon Castle fan, but he's been hooping this year. Like, you took him pretty high over some pretty high-profile guys in that draft. See what you got in him. Getting to lose. See what you got. And like I said, I think that nights like this remind you that, no, we're just better when he plays. So, play him.
When you said you can't start Fred going into next year, the goal for me was I wanted to see, even the men last year, I wanted to see him start by year 3, and I wanted to see Reed Sheppard right now. I want him to be able to start when Fred comes back. Is that what you're saying? You want to see him starting over Fred next year? Or you just don't want to start Fred next year in general?
I think that the ceiling of this team is limited if Fred VanVleet at 32, 33 off of an ACL injury is starting. I'm gonna be real, that's just not what
You
this team
just
needs.
don't see him coming back the same, I'm assuming.
No, I don't. I think that him starting as it was, I think Fred VanVleet current or like 2025 Fred VanVleet is the worst you can be as a starting point guard on a championship winning team. I don't think he's going to be that guy anymore. So no, I don't think he can start no more. Especially like once again, if Reed is here, you ideally want it to be Reed, and if it's not Reed, I think you have to go out there and find someone else. I don't think Fred is the answer.
My thing, I think Fred definitely helps a lot of we've talked about this. We know this. Fred helps with a lot of the issues with this team. Going into next year, I'd like to see Reed snatch that starting role back and earn it. And he's looking like he's earning it for this season. So I want to see him thrown in that role right now and then see what we have for the rest of the season. But I wanted to talk about what Ime Udoka did in this game, right? Reed Sheppard. Well, for one, backtrack. Jalen Green used to probably play until like the middle of the third quarter, and he would not see the floor again if he was having a bad game for Ime Udoka. And I used to actually like that about him, right? He plays his best guys to close games, and he had gotten away from that this season, which I was very, I was pissed about for the entirety of the year, right? But today, he saw the offense was not working with Amin Thompson. He benched him. Amin Thompson did not play a single minute in the fourth quarter, and he was active. I don't know if that's happened. It definitely hasn't happened this year. Last year, I can't recall it happening either. This is a guy who's top 3 in the league in minutes. And they're just, personally, in my opinion, I've said it, they're misusing him, right? He can be a key part to this team, and he will be a key part to this team, obviously. They just misusing him, right? But I like that they took him out and they stuck with what was working, and that was Reed Sheppard going insane. He played the final 17 minutes of this basketball game, and they probably don't win if that isn't the case. They needed him on the floor all 17 of those minutes, right? They were down 19 and re-catapulted them back in the game. And he left them in. So huge props to him for doing that. More props for seeing DFS play awful again and then not playing him in the second half. He played Josh Okogie instead. And we can backtrack to the last game. Josh Okogie had 14 points, second most he's had as a Rocket, on 5 of 7 shooting from the field, 2 of 4 from 3. Actually, no, he had 3 threes in that last game. So for him to be benched in the first half, in my opinion, I hated that. But I commend him for giving him that run in the second half of this Orlando game. That was another reason. It was a key part to the Rockets winning this game. He had some big threes. So I like the decision making tonight. Going into the next game, you play Miami. I'd like to see, again, we talked about, I want to see restart. I'd like to see if he has the balls to play Josh Okogie over DFS. Well, we'll see. Jabari Smith Jr. did have a bad ankle sprain, so that might tweak some things with the lineup. But, when fully healthy, you tell me if I'm lying. I don't think Josh Okogie can come out the rotation. They're leaving him wide open, and I can get why it messed up the spacing at times. But I don't see the argument for DFS.
I don't think DFS should play another minute for the Rockets this season. I think he's been that bad. Yeah, he don't need to play no more. He was in that blowout win we had. Was it against the Jazz or I think it was the
he was
Jazz
a -6. Is that what you're about to say?
Yes. He was it was the Jazz win in a 20-point win when we had guys like Jabari and KD plus 28, Amin plus 17. The only guy on this, even Jeff Green, Isaiah Crawford plus 3. There was only one person on our team who was a negative, and it was Dorian Finney-Smith.
Jeez.
Yeah, and then tonight against the Magic, he was I want to say -13. Yeah, he was. The only person who had a worse plus minus than him was a man. But yeah, it matches the eye test. He's bad.
Yeah.
He's very bad. And we've crossed the threshold where it's no longer, oh, he's ramping up from injury. He's been back since Christmas. We're about to be in March. He's bad. Failed signing is what it is. There's guys on this team who play better than him. We'll get him off the team in the offseason. Yeah, he should not play no more. But one thing I want to say,
What before you
crap.
switch?
Yeah,
Why you think
it was
about
not
it?
something you said earlier.
Yeah, go ahead and think about it. I was just gonna say, yeah, through 24 games, he's shooting 25% from three. 3 points, 2 rebounds, 0.7 assists. I mean, for a guy making 50-some million, that's absurd, right? I don't think I've seen a signing like that before. And I've said it time and time again, I love the signing at first, and it's been a failed signing. If they knew he was getting that ankle surgery, it's completely different. We didn't know that was happening.
No, I think they did know. I think they knew. But
Yeah.
what did you say before you talked about DFS? It was something you had said that I was
Josh
talking about.
Okogie? Josh Okogie?
No, before that. This is the first thing you said.
Ime Udoka playing guys to the finish?
Oh yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Yeah, okay, that reminded me. What I wanted to say was I think I'm pretty well documented that Amin Thompson is my favorite player on the team and probably my favorite player in the league. But I think that I'm a bigger fan of a team than an individual player. And like I've said multiple times, I kind of don't care who plays and who plays in what position as long as the team wins. I'm glad they benched Amin Thompson. I think that he was not, I mean, I think he was a -15. I don't think he was -15 bad today. I don't think he was quite that bad.
Right.
But he was not good. I'll tell you that right now. And I think that when we checked in Okogie, I think Okogie played better today. I think Reed obviously played better today. And so I'm glad that Ime was like, no, we're going to bench him. Even though you are still one of the better players on our team, I don't think anyone should be above. If you are struggling, go sit down. That's just how I've always been. I don't think that could apply to Kevin Durant. If KD was struggling, go sit down. And so yeah, and I kind of want to segue that into the whole conversation of, so people are gonna use this and then use the game against the Kings where we blew out the Kings without a man as evidence that we should bench him in, and I think that's respectfully very stupid. You're not benching a top 3 player in your team, especially because of a blowout win against the Kings that are not trying to win basketball games, and then his first game back from a quad injury. You don't. That's not evidence. You need to bench him. And then, ideally you want him and Reed to be your backcourt of the future together. That's kind of, I think, always been the plan here. So I don't know why benching him would be the solution to that. So no, he's not coming out the bench. I feel like it was one more thing I wanted to say. I don't know. I moved to KD. It might have been about the rotation, but I don't know. KD, I'll make this quick. I think another thing that's pretty stupid is the Rockets made a mistake trading for KD. I think that's a very stupid take. I think that I think every night KD suits up for this team, it looks even dumber. And I think tonight was one of those reasons why he had 40 points on 28 shots. And I am watching the Suns game right now, but I won't tell y'all what Jalen Green's shooting right now.
Go ahead and say it. Go ahead and say it. I was going to share Rooster's tweet that he put up.
I'm good. I don't need to do that. But yeah, no, it's stupid.
Yeah. Look, I 100% agree. That was KD's career high with the Rockets, that 40 piece. And Will has mentioned it before. He's a guy, if he starts terrible from the field, more times than not, he's going to have an insanely efficient night. And he started 1 of 7 and finished 14 of 28 from the field. And what Orlando did in this game was the Rockets were running a pick and roll, and they were getting the switch on the Wendell Carter, and they were just letting KD fry Wendell Carter Jr. And it was clutch. I didn't know how many. I have to look it up how many points he had in that fourth quarter, and I'll pull it up. And he only had 6 in the fourth. No, 6 in the clutch. Had 14 in the fourth quarter on 4-6 shooting. Yeah, so huge reason the Rockets won this game. KD came up huge, right? And as we've said, that's why you trade for him. You need a closer in the stretch. So great to see him doing that. And since the All-Star break, I mean, he's been lights out ever since that little scandal that happened. He's averaging since the All-Star break. And I need to tweet this out too. 29 points on 53, 40, 96 splits. Right? The dude is unconscious. So yeah, definitely happy he's a Rocket. And I say it time and time again, I'll do that trade 10 times over without second guessing it. So Yeah, that's me. They have a interesting stretch coming up. Again, 4-1 since the All-Star break. They're a top 5 team in the league right now, which again is absurd, right? You think about this team and people act like they're a playing team. That's just the vibe of the team. They blow a lot of leads, and we haven't even had a pod, Will, since they blew that lead. I don't think we have, but they really should be on
What lead did we? Oh, the Knicks game.
the Knicks game. Yes, bro.
I mean, the
Knicks
reason we blew that game, and I guess we can talk about this in the weekend. I don't know. We don't got to spend too much more on it.
Go ahead.
But
No, go ahead.
the Knicks game, we blew it because we pulled all of our offensive players from the game and went to a defensive lineup. That's why, like, when we were talking about the small ball lineup, I didn't really say too much because I kind of figured it was more of a gimmick than a like a real like viable thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, like, I'm gonna be real. Like, we pulled all of our best players offensively to go defensive slanted, and then we didn't get any stops. So if you're not scoring and then you're not, you're not getting any stops either, it's kind of just like, what's the point? Like, the reason Katie had so many turnovers because we were asking to play point guard. And then you see tonight where we did the inverse. We pulled off a comeback, and the reason we pulled off the comeback is because of, instead of benching all of our offensive players, oh my goodness, instead of pulling, Luka just got ripped. But instead of pulling all of our offensive players for defensive lineups, we played them. And we also got stops in the fourth quarter defensively, and then we scored because KD, Shingo, and Reed Sheppard. Turns out when you play a bunch of guys who are really good offensively, you score. As crazy as that sounds, what a concept. So yeah, it's kind of like the tale of two cities.
Yeah, the reason that lineup worked in the first place was they were getting stops, right? If they're getting stops and you leave them in, right? But you can't just throw them in there randomly. If they're not getting stops, the offense isn't the prettiest, of course. And that's what we saw ever since I praised that lineup. It's actually been ugly. I was looking up the lineup data for that 5, and it's not going to be pretty by any means. I'll probably put it up while Will talks. But what I wanted to say was, Will, I 100% agree. The offensively slanted lineups are much more important to this team. They're a defensive group, and they're going to get stops, right? But we said it time and time again, the defensive shortcomings from Reed, the offense is much more important than that. And what I loved from the Rockets in that Kings game, I don't know if you realized, they really mirrored Şengün and Reed's minutes. Like their minutes in that first quarter, they came out at the same time, sub back in at the same time, ran that second quarter together. And they were cooking. I love the chemistry I saw from them, right? And that's just what I want to see going forward. Play your best offensive players together, run the offense through them, and I guarantee you this team is going to look 20 times better. And the eye test proves it. So I think the evidence is very telling, right? 20-some games left. We'll see. As I said, top 5 team in the league right now. I want them to finish with a top 3 seed. I don't think they'll catch San Antonio. In fact, they won't catch San Antonio. I'll go ahead and say that. But I'll be perfectly content with a top 3 seed. So I think they're very capable. And they have an easy stretch of games coming up. And I expect them to capitalize. Their next game against a team well over 500 is against the Spurs, I believe. So they need to win these upcoming games. I don't think there's an excuse. So yeah, that's my take. Well, have you seen the schedule by any chance?
No, I don't typically go that far. I don't know.
They got
I know we play Miami
Washington
next. Yeah.
Miami, Washington, Golden State, Portland, and then then the San Antonio game right after that. So
should be wins, but we're gonna blow a game in there somewhere.
The way they've been playing this season, that's on brand.
Yeah,
I want to see them get past that. But they start Reed, maybe not. But
yeah, I'm not banking on it, but I think that there is kind of no excuse for Reed to not start any further, but not banking on it.
100% with you. Yeah. You had anything else to add on this? I think I'm good on my topics.
I think I'm good as well.
For sure. Let us know if y'all want to see Reed start. What you think about the rotation. DFS, take him out the rotation completely. As Will said, he needs to be done for the year. Let us know what you think about that. We appreciate y'all rocking with us. As we've said, try to get to you guys more, throughout the close of this season. And we appreciate y'all for tapping in. So that was an episode of the Brad and Will Show, and we'll see y'all next time.